Hello, everyone. Hello, Henry.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. And we're back for a webinar on Wednesday, the 6th of October. It's 11 a.m., 11:03 actually. Just waiting for a few more people to arrive. We usually have some late arrivals here, but it's good to see everyone. And I'm just checking, Henry, everything looks okay to you?
Everything looks good. Some numbers dropping in.
Good.
Nice to see.
Good. Yes, so we're here again, and we're here every week, every Wednesday at 11 a.m. So welcome and thanks for joining us. And we're here to help small businesses, and we're helping your small business grow. We're basically here to show you things that you can do today, this week, that will improve your website, improve your Google position, improve your online presence, and get you more clicks, more traffic, and more conversions. That's our goal. That's basically what we do this for. There's nothing that we're bringing in today that has anything to do with InfoServe. We've just got some big tips to show you. We've got some things we want to go through, and we're going to do some website reviews as well, so some live audits about your user experience. So that's the focus today. It's user experience. So I think we've got everyone in today. Again, we'll have lots of people watching this back. So if you're watching this on recording, thank you and welcome. And we hope you enjoy it. Of course, if you did get the email, I sent an email out yesterday. You can find the recordings now on www.infoserve.com/webinar, and I've just popped it into the chat there. So you can find that all on /webinar. It's just at the top of the chat. So let's get started, Henry. We've got absolutely loads of people joining today. We sent a few emails. I did some email marketing myself actually and sent out to hundreds of people, and we've absolutely randomly got 100 more people joining. So yeah, hello everyone. Hi, I can see a few private messages saying hi. Hi.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Right, we're all ready to go. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to start going through some top tips today. Henry, let me know if you can see my screen. Really, is my screen okay? Should be.
Yeah, all good.
Perfect.
Good to go.
And as you can see, everyone, we're actually at home today. We're doing this from home. We're mixing it up. Last week we were in the office. I wanted to give you a quick tour of where we are at the airport on Leeds Bradford runway, basically on the south side of the airport. And today we're beaming to you from our homes because we just had tons of stuff that we want to cram into these webinars, and sometimes you can get a lot more done at home. So we've been working really hard, and we've got the second half of this is actually coming next week, and I've got a really good special guest coming next week. She works with InfoServe, but she's a really experienced SEO content writer. So you'll be hard pressed to find someone more knowledgeable on SEO content writing. And that is something we've never covered in any webinars ever before. Okay, so Henry, I'm going to crack on. So if you wouldn't mind, okay, to mute your thingy. And
I'll mute, and then just fire any questions that you guys have got into the chat box, and I'll do my best to answer them all. And if you hear a dog barking, I am very sorry. I apologize in advance, but I will mute. All right, thanks, guys.
I'm going to bring Henry in very soon. He's got some bits he wants to add to this as well. Like I say, Henry's in the chat. There's absolutely loads of you in here today. And again, we'll have loads more on recording. So, but if you're in here today live, you can ask us a question, and we'll be doing reviews on your website and your user experience, just generally your online marketing. So we're not just going to limit it to your website, but please drop a message to Henry and ask away whilst he's in the chat. Like I say, next week, you'll be hard pressed to find someone better at SEO content writing and more knowledgeable. We've never covered SEO content writing in any webinar before. So this is going to be a first for us, but we have to cram it into these short little sessions. So today, I actually wanted to just explore a bit more of what we talked about last week, which is the user experience. And there's a reason for that. And then we're going to look at some reviews with you, the audience, in a second. But user experience and how people find your business and look at your business. I did say last week we'll be looking at social media. And that is going to be coming up in a webinar very soon, but we just have so much to cover for the social. As you can imagine, we're going to be showing you how to set up your shop, your social media channels and various things. So we've got so much to cram in there that we're just going to have to space that out a bit. So I'm just carrying on a bit from last week around user experience. And user experience, UX design is usually website related. But today we're looking at the whole user experience. And obviously, like I said, I'm going to look at some of your user experiences and give you some tips if we can. And so we're going to look at everything. We're not just going to look at the website user experience, but in terms of the website, your website, user experience is now a key ranking signal in Google's algorithm update. I nearly couldn't say that, Henry. Google's algorithm update. So they've basically released an algorithm in the last 12 months, and it's called Core Vitals. And if you've not heard of that, well, a lot of it is centered around user experience on your website. And it's a massive part of their ranking signals. If they're looking at this and saying, right, okay, depending on the quality of the user experience of a website, we're going to, if it's great, we'll improve the ranking. It may improve, it may boost your ranking. So it's a huge part of Google's algorithm now. And it's part of, like I say, the Core Vitals update. So you can do a bit of Googling about this later on. So that's tip number one. If you want to learn more about the Core Vitals update, just have a little Google of it. Or ask us, even better, we can give you the key answers. We can look at your website and we can walk around your website and show you what you need to do. But it's massive. Last week, we talked about first impressions. Most of those first impressions are design related. And we mentioned how it takes 2.6 seconds for a user to decide whether they like or dislike your website. First impressions count for everything. Okay. And how your website looks is the first thing you need to focus on. Just the design, the structure. We talked about white space. Well, white space comes into user experience. So you might see on the screen here, we're just flicking through a website here, but there's plenty of white space, not literally white, but space around content. And having that space around content is part of user experience. And it's really important to find and let things breathe. So have a look at your website and just you decide whether you feel it's a little bit all crammed into one area. And it is so important to let things breathe. And so whilst we're looking at UX design last week, I mentioned that 55% of companies conduct UX testing, which is user experience testing. And it's something that we should be doing all the time. We should be looking at your website every quarter, every 6 months, and just testing it. And so I would encourage everyone to speak to their web developer to see if they can help with that. 23% of small businesses, their websites get updated less than once a year. And we mentioned that last week. And so that's what we're focusing on this week is what can you actually do? What can you physically do to help with this issue, the design, the experience of your users and consumers? Well, the first thing you want to be doing, so tip number one, I've given you a tip to look at Core Vitals. So Core Vitals is my big thing that I wanted to mention about this week. And you should do a little bit of research about that because it's all about user experience and speed as well. So the load speed of your website. But first thing we're going to say is, well, you need to make sure you've got Google Analytics installed on your website. And what Google Analytics does is it tells you how people are behaving on your websites, whether they are going through that path to the conversion. Okay, so we can set up goals on Google Analytics, and those goals will be things like a form fill, just something as basic as that. So let's say you've got a contact form on your website, and what you can do with your web developer really easily, it just takes minutes to do, is you can set up a goal on Google Analytics and you can track the behavior when someone lands on your website to when they get through to that form and fill out the form. And you can see the time it took and you can see which pages they went to in between all of that journey. And that is really important to start as a starting point. You need data. And so, you need data, good data to make good decisions. And correct me if I'm wrong. I think that anyway. I think you can't make decisions unless you have the facts, the data. So we need to see how people are behaving on your website first and foremost. Okay, so get Google Analytics set up, and then just have a little mess around. Just look at it, and once it's set up, there's some good stuff you can see in there. How many pages have been to, how long they spend on pages. And then what we can do is set up some goals, like I say, whether that goal is how many people clicked your phone number, whether that goal is how many people went through to the contact form, how many people read your blog. There's so many different things that you can start to track. And within 30 days, 60 days, you will have a great idea of how people are behaving on your website and to make good decisions. How many of you are doing that on a month-to-month basis or quarterly basis? How many of you, have any of you got a marketing assistant in your business doing this? Because that's what a marketing person does in a business. They look at Google Analytics on a monthly, quarterly basis, and they make decisions based on how people are behaving. If you don't have a marketing person, don't worry, you can do it yourself. If it's too much, time is of the essence, of course, for any business owner. Just ask someone to do it for you. The web developer, anyone, obviously InfoServer here to help. But, I just encourage you to ask whoever you're working with at the moment, get them to do this. It's a very easy task. It should take no longer than an hour once a quarter. That's 1 hour. That's probably the cost. That's probably 50 quid. I mean, hiring a marketing person is going to cost thousands. So it might be worth outsourcing that to a marketing company or your web developer. So get analytics set up, get a monthly call in place or a quarterly call. As a business owner, I'd probably do quarterly, knowing that, once a month is quite frequent. So I'd probably go at least for a quarter. And if you're liking it, step it up to monthly. But certainly get some kind of process in place where someone who's got knowledge is analyzing your website. And then we can start to make good decisions. The second thing to do is to really understand what might your potential customers need. So what might your potential customers need? That's not the best grammar, actually. I'm a bit surprised. But what might they need? What are their needs? What are they looking for? And when they're online and when they're on their mobile phone or their tablet or their computer, what are they looking for your business? Start to think about that, the bigger picture, and write those things down. So let's make a list. What are they looking for? What do they need? Essentially, I mean, I want to get Henry involved a bit as well this week. Again, we asked Henry last week about her recent experience. I've not spoken to Henry about this genuinely before. I'm throwing Henry in at the deep end here. I'd like to get Henry's kind of real life stories, or if anyone else in the chat wants to answer this. What kind of experiences have you had, and what do you think people need? Henry, have you had any frustrating experiences on mobile, for example, recently?
Well, yeah, I mean, in terms of websites, all the time, to be honest, more often than not, annoying little experiences, just things like phone numbers that you can't click to call. Yeah. That's always a pain. Buttons that just aren't buttons, that don't go anywhere, or buttons that link to sort of an irrelevant page. Yeah. Cluttering. I always find like people, like you were saying earlier, white space is fantastic in terms of people like to just clutter everything nowadays, and I think just a little bit of space, a little bit of breathing space is always quite nice.
On the clutter thing, I find that a bit because I'm struggling to get to what I need, struggling to find the thing I need.
Yeah,
it's so messy. It's like when you walk into. Has anyone been into Sports Direct to look for? I was looking for a tennis racket not long ago, and it was giving me a headache. Right? Yeah. Henry, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, 100%.
It's cluttered, isn't it? It's just a mess, and there's no clear path. There's no clear signposting. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, a good example in terms of a website that I think has a really good user experience. Whenever I buy clothes on ASOS, if I ever buy clothes on ASOS, I think just the experience from start to the purchase stage is just seamless in terms of it's really easy to find what I'm looking for. It shows me what I'm looking for, and it's almost taken my money before I even wanted to buy it. So yeah, so it's really good. Yeah, it is really good.
Do you know why? There's two reasons why that you could use ASOS, you could use Amazon, you could use some of these big brands. Of course, we're never. I see a lot of small businesses with websites almost as good as those those big brands. It's just on a smaller scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am a big believer. Every business in here and every business that's watching this can have a website that's as easy to use as Amazon, and you should have those ambitions. I think everybody should have those ambitions. See, that's the goal. That's the kind of that's the goal, isn't it? And that's where you need to aim for, is having an experience that's as easy as ASOS or Amazon. And those kind of things don't cost the earth to do. You can do it yourself. You can do it on website editors. But there's two reasons why, Henry, you find those websites really easy to use. Number one is the menu is extremely well organized and well designed. Designing a good menu is incredibly hard to do. But if you have a well-structured menu, so what Henry's probably doing is going to men's and then maybe trousers, and then he can see the different, and then he's clicking, and it's there we go. Within 2 clicks, he's straight in. But there's another reason why those websites work really well, and I am often baffled as to why I don't see this more on websites. But a search function is a predictive search function as well, and they're really easy to install on a website. I mean, we just did one the other day for a solicitor, a team of barristers. And they've got maybe 20 different barristers in this firm. I'll try and show you guys in a minute if I can. But we just installed a search function because people are looking for those barristers or looking for the services that they offer. And they can start typing it and it will come up with it'll immediately start filling the list as soon as you start typing. That's a really simple function to add to your website, and I'm surprised that I don't see that on all small business websites. Even if you're a plumber, a builder, people go to your website and want to get the answer straight away within 3 to 5 seconds. So add a search function and make it predictive, make it really easy to find the page or the detail that user's needing. So those are the two things: the menu, Henry, I think, and the search function. Of course, it's a beautifully designed website, but I think those are the two.
Yeah, no, I agree. Graham's just had a customer come in store after seeing Hole in Home trophy on our website, and I've just been onto your website, Graham, and you do have a search feature, which is great at the top there. It's not quite predictive. We have built this website, so if that's something that you'd like, do get in touch, and I'm sure we can look at adding that in.
Yeah.
And
sorry, Henry.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, Carol said that she's never looked at her stats on her InfoServe website. So yeah, that's definitely something to do more often, Carol.
Absolutely. It's something that we do once a month. Henry does it. I think Henry's doing it weekly, actually. He loves that kind of stuff. But we do it at least once a month. And but we're a small business too, guys. We're 30, 40 employees, whatever. We're pretty small as well, quite agile. We've got a small marketing team, but as a small business owner, you have to be doing this stuff. And this is something that Google was saying to me down in their London office 2-3 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago even. They're saying, make sure that all of your customers, small business, because they teach us the most important stuff that you guys need to know, small business owners. Google have a small SMB unit, an SMB team, and we work with that SMB team at Google, and they tell us what you need to do. And they were saying this years ago that you must analyze those Google Analytics need to be reviewed every month or every quarter at least, but set up goals. And if you haven't got goals, then but that's a real big thing you're missing, because you're missing out on the ability to look at how people have got to inquiring with you, or where they've stopped, where that journey stopped. That's the most important. That's what I was getting at before, is you need that data, because you need to know where people are stopping, where it's dead ending. And we found that on our website, we were just displaying too much content. So ironically, there was so much content that they weren't getting to the inquiry. So sometimes it's a case of reducing or hiding some content as well. So it's really important to do that review, but also write down what people need, what they're looking for. And I want to put some questions. I want to put 6 key questions to everyone here. And this is still in reference to the website. So this is still website design that we're talking about, but we're going to come away from website design in a second. But the first thing to think about is value. Does your content, product, service, make their time, so your visitors, so the time spent on your website, worthwhile? So does your content make the time on your website worthwhile? Ask yourself that question. So I've got 6 questions here that you need to ask yourself. And we've really condensed this down from 30, 40 different things you could look at. So we're making this really easy for you, an SMB owner. And we think that you need to be asking yourself, does your content, product, service, or the website make their time spent worthwhile? So that's something you need to review. So read through your content. Is it worthwhile? A worthwhile read? Is it interesting? Is it beneficial? Does it add value? Is your website easy to use? That's the second thing. It's quite a basic one, but is it easy to use? Can you get to that path to purchase or the journey at the end of the conversion? Is that easy to get to? Is the information easily available? We're not just going to be looking at your website. And the interesting thing today is we're actually just going to quickly touch on some other bits as well, because as a small business owner, you need to look at more than just your website. You've got Google presence, you've got social media presence, and especially for small local businesses, or really any business of any size, but especially for local businesses, social media, Instagram, Google My Business, they're essential that you get that right. So is it easy to use? Is the website easy to use? And ask yourself, does your website satisfy users' requirements? Does it satisfy users' requirements? So is it useful? Is every bit of, are the pages useful, or are you just wasting space? Don't waste space on your website with just content that's there for the sake of being there. If you're writing content for the sake of SEO, be careful as to where you display that content. You could try and hide some of that content. Make sure the content and the website structure is useful and not just a waste of space. And does your brand strike an emotional chord with the user? So is it desirable? So ask yourself, when someone lands on your website and they're browsing it, how does your brand look? Now, Henry, again, going to throw a question that you didn't expect here, but I'm asking everyone, does the brand strike an emotional chord with the user? So I want you to think now, Henry, when you've looked at some websites, whether it be on your laptop or your mobile phone, you're looking at a website, so you're looking at a company online, and the brand isn't doing it for you. There's something a poor looking brand, and there's many elements to brand design.
Yeah.
But let's say it's just poor, you will lose trust and you lose credibility. And you think anyone we'll just go back to Google and search for someone. What kind of examples can you think of when you've looked at a website when you've looked at a website and you've seen a poor brand, it doesn't strike an emotional chord? Have you got any
specific examples of websites off the top of my head is hard to think of, but I think imagery is a big one. Quality of imagery is always a big one. Like, I always think, is that image best representing your brand in terms of, is it low quality? If a company can't even be bothered to sort of put nice pictures on their website, then what's sort of the service going to be like? And things like that do sort of ring around in my head, and I will go away and click on someone else's website.
I'll stop you there because that's a really good answer. I didn't expect you to say that, but you've made me think about a time where I was getting a similar sort of webinar from, actually, it was Google as well, and they were saying about GIFs. And I don't know if everyone knows what a GIF is. It's quite, it's more popular now, aren't they? But it's where you have those moving images and things. Just something as simple as a GIF is enough to put someone off using your brand. Yeah. So think about that. Think about when you've gone through, maybe you've clicked on an email and you've gone through to the website and you're looking at a website page and there's a moving image, a GIF, or as Henry says, just as simple as a photo or an image. That is absolutely enough to put someone off using your brand. So Henry, you've hit the nail on the head there. That is really a big one. It's imagery and the quality of the images, the type of images, and be careful. Everyone needs to be careful to use the right kind of image. Did you want to add anything to that, Henry? Because I think that's a really good point you've made.
I think font is a really overlooked one in terms of if you just have your really basic font, I think it just looks basic and it just looks like someone just quickly on a Friday night typed it up and just set it live. And I think it stands out if you've got a nice spacing around words and stuff and a nice font, and you've just spent that extra little bit of time, and it just gives you that extra bit more credibility and trust, I think. So it is lots of little things, but they add up to one big thing.
Absolutely, totally right, Henry. And I've pulled up an example of a website here from a chap that we've worked. We've tried to help before. We've worked with him. I think his name's Ben. Hi, Ben, if you're watching. You're always a regular in the webinars, and I know you're really keen to. You've got a huge website here and loads of good content, and you're a really popular company up in the Northeast. Think of England. Actually, looks like you've expanded. You're across across the north of England now. So I know you're a really popular company. You do really well, but you've been reaching out to us for a little bit of help on your website, which is great. You know, you're absolutely on the ball here. I see that you've done a bit of restructuring with your website here, so made the kind of sections nice and easy to consume. You know, you've not got loads of content in blocks, which is good. You've separated all this content out. But Henry's just alluded to font there, and I was looking at your website, Ben, I think it is, last week quickly, and I did think this about the one thing I would be looking at with your brand is things like the font and the color of the font. For me, I mean, obviously, this is just personal choice. Hopefully this is helping you rather than hinder it. But for me, I think the font here is looking a bit outdated for the kind of brand, the kind of company that you are. You need some branding, basically, some brand design. That's the first port of call for your business here. It's brand design. We've done some work on a broadband company recently. Let me see if I can find it. And they are a broadband company, like I say, and I know they don't mind me sharing some of this. We do it for many businesses, and this is just to give you an example of a brand guide. So this is, you know, what you do before you build a website, or before you bloody notifications here, left, right. Before you build a website, before you do anything, you have to start with who is the brand, what are my fonts, what are my colors, and you know, this is the kind of thing you do. You go and look at the logo, the color palette, the icons, the typography, and you really understand your audience. Because unless you understand your audience, you don't know. So let me just check here, because I think Henry's saying, oh, Henry, no, it's okay. I thought you were saying there was something wrong, but everything's okay, isn't it, Henry, in terms of the screen? Everything's okay.
All good. Everything's fine.
Sorry, Henry. Sorry. Okay. So
No, it's okay.
All right. So what we do is we look at the colors, the brand, and we, you know, the story and the logo here. And if I just go through to the colors, for example, and that's the kind of thing we would do. And obviously this brand takes things really seriously. They care about their audience. And so they've wanted to establish some brand colors. And so we've done that for them. And then we've developed some unique iconography. And then we've worked on the font. And you can see the different types of font that we're using. And this is a brand guide. And what this does, is this is shared amongst everyone that's working with the company. So any marketing company that wants to do a leaflet or something for this brand, they now have a brand guide to work from. It's very organized and it's structured. If you don't have a brand guide, then what is your brand? You know, what is the brand guideline? You must have something like this, because as Henry says, this breaks trust in a company. And look, you know, one of the things that we would do, you should do, is understand your audience and work out who they are, what types of people they are, etc., etc. So all really important, all basic stuff. You know, we've seen that sort of stuff before. But going back to the Sparta, that's where I think this kind of company needs to establish their brand guidelines. And within that brand guidelines, you would be, you know, a company like us would be saying, never use the logo or a block with a different colored background, for example, because that design there breaks trust, because it looks rather odd having a white background to the logo with a gray bit there. We would be establishing the fonts, the typography, and you can do this yourself, guys. You can do this yourself, and you just got to sit down and work out what kind of font you use, etc., etc. Henry, would you agree? It's pretty basic stuff, really, when you think about it. Yeah, just font. You know, you were saying font and images.
Yeah. And I think it's always nice to have a font that you like, and you only use that font for your business and website. We do it. InfoServe, we do it in our branding and stuff. We only ever really use one font, and then just go through the different sort of sizes, bold, not bold, things like that. So yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I don't want to keep swapping my screen. InfoServe brand guidelines. Let's have a look. If I think I've got it here. That's a different one. There we go. That's the one. And so we did it ourselves many, many years ago, but probably only 2 years ago, to be fair. But we've got the different logo there. We've got how to use the logo. You have to have certain space and margins around that logo. The color palette, the logo usage, the typography, as Henry says, certain sizes, certain types. It's essential stuff. So that is a good starting point. Make sure your brand strikes an emotional chord. This all relates to user experience, of course. And is your website easily navigable? Henry, is it easy to navigate? Can you go around your website to different pages easily? Can you find the content that you're looking for? For example, contact forms, for example, services, things like that. I'm just going to touch on the services in a moment. So yeah, make sure it's easy to navigate, and is it credible? As one of the final things I wanted to say here is, does your brand identity and content and service build trust and belief with the user? So for example, reviews and testimonials, that's an essential part of your website. Does the content build trust and belief? And going back to that brand, Henry actually alluded to this. Images and font will break that credible feeling, that trust factor. So those are kind of some 6 essential questions to ask yourself. Of course, This is on recording, so you can go back to it. And I just wanted to highlight one thing before we move on, as I check the time, so we're all good for time. The objective is to reduce as many obstacles as possible when it comes to website design. So I just wanted to add this one thing is, have a think about when you're looking through your website. Obviously, you can't really do this on Google Analytics. This is more of a scrolling through your website, as a user, looking at it, going from page to page. Are there any obstacles? A pop-up, for example, is an obstacle. So be really careful to avoid multiple pop-ups. Make sure the visitors don't get stuck thinking about what is happening and how to get to where they want. So you don't want people to have to think about how they get to where they want. And I think Henry mentioned as well about phone numbers, getting to the phone number, getting to the contact form and things like that. And make sure people don't get stuck. That's essential. Nobody likes friction. So remove that friction from that website user experience. And so when you're looking at your website, just take, like I said last week, take a step back, put yourselves in the shoes of a consumer, potential visitor, and just look. Is a friction? Is it easy to find things? We wanted to highlight earlier the search function. And I mentioned here, if it's a large website, you absolutely need a search function. Of course, you need a search function, but I would recommend having a search function on smaller websites as well. And I just want to check the Sparta. This looks like a huge website, but it absolutely needs a search box right at the top. Henry, you mentioned, is it ASOS that you use?
Yeah.
Your fashion and your jeans and your
bits and bobs,
Bits and bobs. And right at the top there is a huge search box. And if I go let's go men's grey, something a bit more unique, men's grey trousers. Okay, really? Let's see what happens if I click search. You notice the predictive search came up there. But here we go. Yeah, so it's displaying the right information, as you can see. But how easy is this to use?
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. And if you look at the menu, I talked about the menu before. So you've got the menu at the top here, really easy. So if I just go to new in, I can go new clothing. If I go to clothing, it immediately jumps over to, if I can go to, I could go to socks. I'm going to click on jeans, see what happened when I click on jeans. You've got more beautiful menus here, really nice filtering system. So I want straight jeans. And then there we go. We've got the straight jeans. That's just 2 clicks. And I've got what I wanted to find. Remember, the homepage, really easy to use. I mean, you've got another menu on the homepage here. So there's another menu. If I miss this menu, the menu's right there as well. A key headline, 80% off. That's all that's needed. Don't think there'll be much more content on this homepage. It's really just boxes. I mean, this is more of a visual product, obviously. So I understand this can't be done for everyone. It's more of a visual thing. But you definitely need a search function. Henry, did you want to add anything there? Whilst
yeah, I was just going to say, I think a good way to measure like sort of trust and credibility in your own websites is, would you feel comfortable putting your credit card information into your website? I always think that's quite a good way of sort of, you should feel comfortable going and paying on someone's website. And there's lots of websites that I wouldn't. The service might be fantastic, and the product might be great, and the business might be, really, really good. But if I don't feel comfortable putting my credit or debit card details into that website and paying, then the website hasn't done its job in terms of building trust and credibility. So I think that's quite a good question to ask yourself. That's all I was going to add.
That's a good point. Would you put your card details into? Yeah, I absolutely. And that's the ultimate question that you want to ask at the end of all of this is, would I actually pay, put my card details in? Do I trust it? I think there's actually a lot to that, actually. That's a good point, Henry. You could think about that in many different ways. And we only really trust the big websites, don't we? The big brands.
Yeah.
I was saying about a website that we're designing for some barristers, and we've finished it, so it will be going live shortly. So it's a big website. It's very stripped back. It's intentionally content based. So this this is useful for many people. But if you look at the top there, we've added a really it's at the top right. It's really more prominent on mobile as well. But if I go, I don't know, divorce. I think this is I don't know what this is actually. What type? Not really. Looked at this too much. I know, though, for example, I was just looking at it the other day. Here we go. My internet's a bit slow here, but I was looking at it the other day, and I was looking. I did a test on a barrister. I was looking for a barrister. They've got an actually well-known barrister called Sasha Waz. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But you can see as I type in the search bar, it predicts what I'm looking for, and there we go. Just go through to it, and I can go through to a news article about that barrister. There's tons and tons of content on this website. I'll just go back to the homepage there, but you can see that search function is something we've built, and I'd recommend having that on your website. This is a WordPress website, though. This is a really big bespoke website that we've built. So those search functions are easier to do with predictive in WordPress websites. So sometimes it's not always possible on the platform that you're on. In terms of the menu, they've got loads and loads of different services, and we've split it down to make it really easy to find the right one. Crime, financial crime, international law. So you can see, on that large menu, we've built it strategically, so things are really easy to find. So yeah, search functions, essential. Another thing I was looking at a website just the other day, and it was a accountant website, and we've helped him out before, I think, and we were looking at the service page, and it was all just content. It was just blocks of content. Well, what's the process? What happens when I use this business? When I want to get some bookkeeping, what is the process? All it says here is some businesses do this work themselves. It's often more sensible to have us do it for you, et cetera, et cetera. But, what's the process here of the bookkeeping service, as in where do I start? So a good tip from us would be to add a process into your service pages. So step 1, contact us. Step 2, we will then review your business. I'm just making this up, what's next. Step 3, after reviewing your business, we'll start the work, and it'll be 2 hours a week consultation or bookkeeping. I'm just making this up, but you need to have either bullet points or a process. Make it easy for people to understand what's involved. Watch out for big blocks of content, because we all do that. We're all guilty of just writing the content out and not thinking about the user experience. What do your visitors want and need? Well, they'll want to know what's involved. So that's a tip for the service page. And then we've talked about this in previous webinars, but just don't forget to maintain those typographic hierarchies. So for example, we've got H1, H2, H3, and then a paragraph text. So this is how your website content should be structured. You have your H1, the main heading, and then the subheadings, and then the paragraph text. So it should always be in that order. So that makes it really easy for people to read the content and understand what they're looking at. So make sure you have things structured in that way, the headlines and the text and the content. But it's not just about your website, and we must move on to this because time flies in these webinars. So what might your potential customers need? We asked that earlier on. Well, we've talked about the website and certain things that they're going to need on the website, but what about generally the internet? What about when they're on the internet? Maybe they're on their mobile phone, maybe they're on the go, walking around. What are they going to need? Well, they're going to need opening hours, for example. They want to look at your reviews. Might need a street view because they want to look at where you're based. I do that a lot. I literally want to see the street that this company's on. And I hate to be, sound snobby here, but if it's on how can I put it, a bit of a dodgy street, that's going to put me off using that business. Henry, can you think of any scenarios where you've been in that situation where you've looked at the street view and you've just thought, nah, it looks a bit...
Yeah, I have. Not every time, but there are definitely times where I look and I think maybe not.
Yeah, exactly, Adam. I just want, it's interesting to hear if anyone else has that weird behavior, because it's just myself, but we do look at these kind of the data as well. And we know that people are clicking on the street view, and you can't really do much about that. But one thing you can do is make sure that on Google My Business, we talked about this in other ways, where the street view is the camera is pointing at the right direction to start with, because sometimes the view, when you go and search your business name on Google, sometimes the street view is looking at a different building or down a street the wrong way or something. It's not actually looking at your building, or it's not even at your building itself. It's further down the street. You can change that within your Google My Business. You can move the map marker, so you get a better street view. And people want to contact you. So let's have a look at some of these things around the internet. So this is just an example on Instagram. It is more than just your website, and people are going to your Instagram business page and your Facebook business page to do. There's one thing that people are doing more than you all think, and it's unbelievable how much data we've seen where people are going to the Instagram page and the Facebook page to look at opening hours. It's incredible. And guess what? When the opening hours aren't there, they use someone else. It's absolutely unbelievable how many people go to Instagram and Facebook just to look at the opening hours. I do it a lot, actually. I do use Instagram, and I do go to the business page on Instagram. And the first thing sometimes when I need that business, the one thing I'm looking for is the opening hours. So make sure that they're really clear right at the top of your Instagram page. You can also highlight unique selling points. So we'll come back to that in a second. But use the space carefully. Those USPs could be bullet point format. Make sure you've got that on your and this is a really good example of a well-created Instagram business page right here. It's a local bar, of course, but I was looking for a good example, and these guys have done it. They've nailed it. So you've got the opening hours at the top, then you've got these three. No need to book, indoor, outdoor seat, takeaway available, and they're using the emojis next to that as well. You might not want to use emojis because, for example, if you're, I don't know, for example, a solicitor, for example, you might need to make it a little bit more serious. I wouldn't use emojis in that case. Of course, things like funeral directors, etc. So to be careful what you do there. But for a lot of businesses, you can use that bullet point format for unique selling points. And of course, people go to Google as well to look at opening hours. But we're finding more and more people are going to Instagram. So just bear that in mind. Instagram is a very popular place. So make sure you have your opening hours on Instagram, but make sure they're accurate. And on Google My Business, we find so many examples of opening hours being being the wrong. So maybe around seasonal times of year, you've not updated your opening hours. That is incredibly frustrating for people. So it's a bank holiday and you've got the wrong opening hours on there. that can put someone off for life, believe it or not. If they go to Google and search your business name and it's got the wrong opening hours on there, it can really turn people off. So be really careful to keep on top of all of this stuff. Google My Business, Instagram, Facebook. We mentioned last week about Instagram shopping. I hope you've all had a chance to do that, but you can and should make it really easy for people to buy. And of course, we'll be working on this with you in forthcoming webinars. So make it really easy for people to buy and get in contact and get in touch. You don't have to sell fashion and beauty. It is all types of different businesses that should be using Instagram Shop and Facebook Shop. Okay, so Henry, just wondering if there's anything. We often don't get many people in the chat leaving their URL because we are going to highlight the bad things, to be honest with you. But are there any URLs? But if not, don't worry about it. If there's any in there,
no one's put any that they want to have reviewed.
If chat
but
would like to do that, yeah. If anyone would like to do that, drop your URL now into the chat. I didn't ask for it before, in all fairness, but if anyone would like us to just have a quick look at their website and user experience and online presence, pop your URL into the chat now and we'll look at it. But I did want to go back to Sparta Security because that's a typical business, small to medium-sized business. We'll have a quick look at that if no one else does it. I'll just look at that in the meantime.
No one's feeling brave today.
No one's feeling brave today, but Ben did put his in last week, Ben, and I promised to get around to a few more. I mean, I've obviously mentioned that you need a search function. I would be really establishing your brand guidelines first of all, Ben. I would look at your brand guidelines. It'd be good to see someone else's website.
We've got Andrew. Andrew's put his URL in.
Wait, what's the URL there?
So AURUM.
Aurum Jewelers.
That's the one.
Hi, Andrew. Let's have a look. Oops, have I spelled that? Yeah. Sorry, Andrew, if I'm making errors. There we go. Sorry. I just wanted to go through. So you've got 20 reviews, which is excellent. Make sure your opening hours are correct, of course. Hopefully there will be. In-store shopping, in-store pickup, really good. Store, let's just have a look at this. Store in medieval house, selling innovative designer trinkets, handcrafted bespoke pieces. Okay, yeah, jeweler. Obviously you are a jeweler.
Wrong one, Matt. Wrong one. Andrew says it's the wrong one.
Right. Sorry, Andrew. It's this one, isn't it? It is this one. It's in Worthing.
That's the one.
Okay, well, we'll come back to the GMB. I mean, all I'm saying about the GMB, Andrew, is make sure the opening hours are correct. Make sure your description gets the point across as quick as possible. Who are you? What do you do? And what is unique about you? Just get that across in the first couple of lines if you can on the description of the GMB. So Andrew, obviously what we designed Andrew's website actually. Andrew works with InfoServe already, so I would say this anyway, Andrew. It's actually designed in the right way, genuinely. You've got obviously a very clear headline with a beautiful handmade bespoke jewelry. You've got the Google review icon there. Probably a note for us on this one. We need to make sure that's sitting aligned to the left. That should be a little bit to the left because there's a bit of a different alignment there. You can tell I've got a background in design, so that should be. But in terms of look at how clean and this is genuinely well designed. But I'm going to pick out some negatives, Andrew. I need to because otherwise it's job not done. But yeah, this is really easy to navigate. Andrew has got the sections below the menu. Of course, you've got a really easy to use menu here. There's not too many pages for the products there, but I like the fact it's all nicely laid out there. I know, Andrew, though, that you've been editing this yourself, which is good because always update the content. It's just what I wouldn't ever recommend is for changing design. So I don't know. I don't know if this is something we did, but that looks a bit out of place, that line there, because there's no call to action. There's I don't know if it's not loaded, but really like this. I mean, of course, yeah. We've done this, haven't we, Henry? This
we have.
So I think Andrew's though is a good example of getting the using the font. I mean, Andrew's font, Henry, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is intentionally used. This isn't just any old font. This is being used throughout the website. Just in terms of Yeah, okay, it's fully, obviously it's got SEO, everything's there. What I'm going to do now is step back, and this is the thing. I want to step back. I'm not actually, Andrew. What I'm going to think is, let's have a look at your products, engagement rings. Okay, let's say I'm looking for an engagement ring. I'm going to go through that journey, and this is what you should do, Andrew, all the time. So maybe I'd go to the menu, maybe I'd click on this. I'm going to click on that. So then I'm taken through to engagement rings. So you've got some beautiful imagery, really nice imagery. Okay, bespoke engagement rings. Yeah, okay. Good amount of content, not too much. What you could have here, though, is a call to action, because I probably wouldn't have a button. I'd have a bit of text saying "get in touch." A nice, classy bit of text. It doesn't have to be a heavy. Having buttons can sometimes make the page look a bit heavy and naff, and for your kind of website, it's beautiful. It's simple, and it's all about imagery. I'd have a bit of text there with a link going to the contact page, for example. Yeah. So okay, yeah, there's a nice, the content's well designed. Okay, so you've got different options here, right? Okay, so this is what I wanted to see, was the different options. So you want me to call? Is that what you wanted me to do, Andrew? Is that the main way that people inquire? I mean, I'd be surprised if that's the main way that people inquire with you, but that is your main call to action here, is call now. Personally, Andrew, I don't like to call businesses. I like to just go to a form, or I'd like to do it all online. We're all used to doing it all online. Call me antisocial, but I'd like to do it all online, Andrew. But I'd be surprised if most people call for this kind of service. But let me just go through and see. Okay, I'm interested in this one, the infinity ring. These ones look really, really nice. Not that I'm getting, let me get rid of that. Not that I'm getting married anytime soon, Andrew, but let me have a look through. I like the fact you've got the unique selling points. Right, okay, so this is, yeah, okay, I'd be reading through this. It's easy to consume. The content's really easy to read. If you have a question about the infinity, just give us a call. I don't want to call though, Andrew. So you're not making it easy for me. So this is the thing, and we've designed this website. But one thing that we would have asked is, what do you want people to do? What is the goal? So I presume, and obviously, Andrew, you've got access to this. So I presume this has been the agreed goal. But I'm coming in from a slightly more destructive point of view, intentionally being a bit destructive and saying, I don't want to call. So okay, so now I can find. Okay, so I've had to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page to find this contact form. That's interesting. It is there, but it's just a bit. So what you could do, it's a bit hard to find that, Andrew. It wasn't quite as I just wanted to make that next step. I'm loving this. What I probably would do is there's no gallery. I've noticed on the infinity ring. So there's only this bit at the top that changes through the different image, but there's no gallery. I'd like to see that. Okay. I'm just sorry, Andrew. I'm just the gallery wasn't at the top of the page. That's kind of. Can you see where I'm going with it?
Andrew's sorry to interrupt. Andrew's just said they need to speak to people just because everything is bespoke. So, and obviously they don't sell online, so they do want people to call up just because it's completely bespoke.
So where's the live chat? So you want to speak to people. I completely agree, Andrew. What you need is live chat on your website, because I don't know if you do that, but I use live chat all the time. It's straight away. I don't have to sit on a phone. And what if you miss a call? I don't have to have those awkward conversations. I just want to, get an answer quickly without having to speak to someone. Unfortunately, Andrew, that's how people think. A lot of people think these days. And we know that having just one path to purchase is a bit restrictive. It's not making it easy. So I definitely would be thinking about live chat. I did mention the gallery because if I'm looking for this infinity ring, I went through to your engagement rings here, and they do look beautiful. It looks great. It says see gallery. So I clicked on see gallery, and there's no gallery. It's just content. So I don't want to read. I want to see beautiful imagery. You know, imagine going to. I always mention the Apple website, and you've got beautiful images of the product. Well, yours is a product-led website. It's all about this style and the images. So that gallery potentially could be higher up because that's what the call to action said. It said see gallery. And so this is where, as a business owner, you need to take a step back and forget, because the worst thing is going for your website when you're really close to your product. When you're really close to your product, it's easy to miss these things. And so I'm not really close to your product, Andrew. And so what you should do is, if you can, or maybe get someone else to do it, you could control that person though. Say, hey, I want you to click on that. Why did you click on that? What did that say on that button that made you click on? Ask, you know, if someone's going through your website, ask them these questions, or do it yourself. But see that button, it says see gallery. The gallery is really hard to find. And then I wanted to get in touch, but not my phone. And you're starting to lose those conversions. There's tons of friction there. And yeah, we've designed this website ourselves. But our team, my team, is incredibly dedicated to making it work for you in any way that we want. And having picked this out, Andrew, if you are up for having a live chat, we will help you get that added to the website. And if you're happy for us to move the gallery up, you know, just get in touch and we'll do that. But we won't stop until we all are 100% happy with the path to purchase, the goals. So it just needs a review, because I think this website is, I think it was last year that this website went live, Andrew, certainly a few months ago. So like I said in the last webinar, we need to review websites every month, every quarter, and go over this UX design, you know, and this is what we've been talking about, is not enough businesses do UX reviews, and this is part of it. So yeah, so we won't stop until we get it right for you, Andrew. As you can tell, I'm picking it out. So we'd love to help you on that, but make sure you make it really easy for people to get in touch. So let's just go to the contact page really quickly. So I know that you've got a contact form there, really easy, and you've got the opening hours, which is great. But with a contact form, of course, you're waiting on an answer. So you will lose potentially those conversions, because someone might then go to Google, search for jewelers in Worthing, is it? I think. Sorry, Andrew, if it's not. Worthing. People might search around, fill out some other contact forms. They get a better quote. They see a better gallery. You lose the conversion. So you've got to make it really easy and really quick for people. So, Henry, anything?
Yeah, no, completely agree. Andrew said thanks for that. Carol did actually put her URL in as well.
Happy to.
And so did Graham. I think Carol's is another one that we've done.
Puppets.
Yes, that's the one. Puppets, Plays, and Story Days.
Puppets, Plays, and Story Days. How did I know that just from someone's first name? Guys, I can't even see the chat. That's how much we love our customers. Thousands of customers, Carol, and I knew it was Puppets, Play. Okay, so let's have a look. So Puppets, Plays, and Story Days. Okay, I'm not going to go through we've done this website. It looks beautiful. Of course, it looks beautiful. But let's do a quick user experience again, give everyone a good example. Because I know you offer storytelling service. So it's a really funky website. Contact me for pricing. Okay, a very clear call to action, I have to say. Contact me for pricing. It's as clear as it gets, you know, the next step. And this is kind of what I was saying before, is you need to make, what is the process? What are the kind of steps to getting the conversion? And this is the process is within the button, contact me for pricing. Okay, so let me just, everything's pretty straightforward. I am going to click on this button. Okay, Carol, we just need to make sure it doesn't open a new tab. We can fix that for you really easy, but that button shouldn't open a new tab, which it has done. It's not the end of the world. It's fine. We're still on the website, but it did open, like I say, a different tab. And okay, so contact me for pricing, send a message, contact us. It is very clear. This is very clear. You've even got live chat you've got the messenger hooked up. So I would say the same to Andrew at Aurum Jewelers. You can add on the Facebook Messenger into your website, like Carol's done here. Carol's got the same website editor as you as well, Andrew. So it's really easy to add that little, and you can customize the look of that button. You can change the colors, etc., etc.
Carol says she's had problems with postage and payment. She said earlier, she said postage has been a problem, gone to free delivery. Only had PayPal option. So she's now added Square.
Right, and so that's on the shop, I think, which I'm on here.
Yeah, that's
now,
on the shop.
I've noticed this pop-up. Thanks for visiting. All is free delivery. Okay. Carol, what I would say here is this is a good idea, but I wouldn't have it as a pop-up. You're basically saying, all you're saying here is, so two things. All you're saying is £10, over £10, it's free delivery, which is brilliant. That's excellent. But fewer words, Carol. Just what I would say is you don't need to say all of this on a pop-up. And then the next button says get in touch. So let's click on that button. And I'm off the shop. So I went to the shop, a pop-up came up, and then I was taken away from the shop. So that's a concern. First and foremost, you shouldn't have that button saying get in touch. Second of all, what I would do, instead of having that pop-up, I would, let's see if ASOS have got, let's see if Henry's favorite business has something here. Okay, yep, there we go. I was looking for something like this. Carol, can you see this black bar here? It says get 10% off with code HighFriend. What you'll find on the big, well-designed websites, they'll have a bar, quite a slim bar, got a row going across the website. And that's what I'd recommend on yours. We add a slim row that pops up, and it's quite easy to spot. And it says orders over £10, free delivery. Have it as a row on your website, not a pop-up. Let people get into the shop without having to click and come off a pop-up. You know, if you really need to show a pop-up, that really should be a get £10 off when you sign up to our newsletter. That's what a pop-up should say. Things like that. You know, we all go to those websites. It says get 10% off, whatever, when you sign up to our newsletter. That's a good way to get emails as well. So if you want to collect emails, to do some email marketing, I'd recommend doing that. So yeah, in terms of buying online, it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Checkout. Okay. So you put your email address in. And then I don't want to go through all of that process, Carol, but this looks pretty simple, straightforward. The most important thing was the free delivery over £10. That's what makes or breaks a conversion, is the delivery. So you'd have this row, and we can have the row appear again on this page here. So you can constantly see that spend over £10, you get free delivery. So yeah, so that's what I would say, Carol. Just one bit of big advice there for you, and don't forget it's opening up in a different tab at the moment. Okay, we're going to have to say though, if you need any help with anything, just go to infoserve.com/webinar, and when you're on that website page, when you're on the website, you can click the contact button at the top right. There's a contact button there, and just fill out the form or give us a call, and we'll give you a hand with anything you want. You've all registered, so you don't need to register, but we will be Henry, that thumbnail. So we will let's keep moving that so people can't see that thumbnail. What we will do is we will add episode 2 to this page very soon. This week we'll be quicker on the ball with that. We'll be adding episode 2 to infoserve.com/webinar. And next week we've got a SEO content writer joining us, and she knows everything. She is on top of the Google algorithm like you'd never guess. She's on the ball with SEO. So if you want help getting your website higher on Google, she's going to go over. She's got at least 3 big tips to go over. She's going to go through her top 3 tips to go and tell you how to improve your ranking on Google through just writing content. So you'll be able to write the content as well. Of course, she can help you do that, but she's going to cover at least 3 big tips to get your website ranking higher. And it genuinely works. She's been doing it for some of our websites, and it is unbelievable the impact her sort of work has and her advice has. So watch out for that one next week, and we'll see you next week at 11 a.m. And for everyone, it's just as I dive back into the room here. Sorry for everyone who's joined us today. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Sincerely, it means the world to us to see you in here. We've got absolutely tons of people in here today. So thank you so much for your time. And I'll sign off and I'll say, Henry, thank you again for joining me this week. Your input's been really valuable. Any
Pleasure.
comments?
It's been great again, and hopefully everybody joins next week's, because like you say, Matt, that one's going to be a good one. But thanks for all your comments, and get in touch if you need anything. So
please go to infosurf.com/webinar. Tell your friends, tell local businesses, get them onto that page to sign up, and we'll see you all next week again at 11 a.m. Have a great week, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.